is a busy sports day here in Philadelphia with the Flyers meeting the Florida Panthers at the Spectrum and the Atlanta Braves taking on the Philadelphia Phillies here at Veterans Stadium. Hi, everybody. Pete Van Weren along with Don Sutton welcoming you to Veterans Stadium, where the Braves have had great success in the first two games of this series, winning by scores of 11-0 and 11-3. And right now, Don, the Braves couldn't be playing any better. A 7-game winning streak and everything is clicking.
Oh, you're right, Pete. The offense, the defense, but especially the offense. You remember the Phillies lost 3 of their starting pitchers in spring training, so they're going with a makeshift staff. And the Braves are taking advantage of it. A 4-1 record, almost 400. Nearly 9 runs a ball game, 9 home runs, and that, I think, is really benefiting the pitching staff. You see the earned run average, 2.6 against the Phillies. The Braves have scored about 180 runs, Pete, and 2/3 of those have come in the first 4 innings. So if you're a starting pitcher, it's a great time to be a Brave. If you're on the road, there's a good chance you could have 3 runs before you go to the mound, and at home, all you have to do is get 3 outs before you go out there with the lead. So that really helps the starting pitching.
And the Braves go with their ace, Greg Maddux, today, and the Phillies go with theirs, a rookie named Mike Grace, who has won his first 5 decisions this year. We'll be back with the starting lineups and all the action from Philadelphia right after this.
Mother's Day. May we wish you a very happy Mother's Day, all you moms and you mom-in-laws. The Philly Fanatic, they brought his mother in from the Galapagos or somewhere, and that's the Fanatic's mom. A very happy Mother's Day to Mrs. Fanatic, I guess it is. Time for a look at our Micah and starting lineup. For the Braves, who are really smoking the Phillies pitching staff, Marquise Grissom to lead it off. Mark Lemke will bat second. Chipper Jones in the 3rd spot. Cleanup hitter is Fred McGriff. David Justice will follow in the 5th spot. Ryan Klesko playing left will bat 6th. Javi Lopez will bat 7th. You hit 2 home runs, drive in 7 runs. What do you get for it? You get to go back to the 8th spot in the batting order. That's what happened to Jeff Blauser. And Greg Maddux will complete Bobby Cox's lineup. Defensively, here's how the Phillies will go at it. It's going to be Jim Eisenreich in left field, Lenny Dykstra in center, the rookie Glenn Murray in right field. Todd Zeile starts at 3rd. Stocker is at short. Morandini at 2nd. Good slick fielding J.R. Phillips will be at first base. Benito Santiago, be careful for him today. He has done some damage to the Braves pitching staff. He will catch. And on the mound, making his 7th start of the year, right-handed rookie sensation Mike Grace. Our umpires for the final game of the series will have Billy Hahn calling the balls and strikes, Terry Tata at 3rd, Jerry Davis at 2nd, and Ed Rapuano, who has been the butt of quite a few jokes from the Philly Fanatic, will be over at 3rd base. Here's a look at young Mike Grace. All he did last year in about 3 different levels was win 16 ball games, put together an earned run average of right at 3 in the minors and in the majors. He is off to a fantastic start for the Phillies here. In his 7 starts, he's averaged 7 innings a start. He has averaged only 1 walk, and he's averaging almost 5 strikeouts a start. So get ready to see somebody who's going to throw the ball over the plate. He has been especially good in his last 3 ball games. The earned run average sparkling his last 4 ball games, 6 strikeouts per game and only 1 walk. So he's going to be around the plate. He throws a heavy sinking fastball. He is a very aggressive take charge type pitcher. Was in the Phillies clubhouse prior to today's ball game, and he is a different personality. He's almost like watching Greg Maddux or Tom Glavine. Very quiet, very calm, just kind of sitting around waiting to go at it. But they say when you give him the ball, his pitching belies his short term here in the big leagues. So he has really been a bright spot for what has been a dismal year for the Phillies pitching staff. Remember, they lost a ton of their pitchers to injury. Some are getting healthy now. That's Greg Maddux making his way back. He's got a little revenge on his mind. Remember, 2 starts ago against the Phillies, carried a lead into the 9th inning, but gave up a few runs. Benito Santiago touched him up for a grand slam, the first one Greg had ever allowed in his career, and the first time in about 5 years he had allowed 5 runs. So Grace is completing his warm-up tosses. He has allowed 17 runs, 15 of them earned, 6 home runs, but get ready for something in the strike zone. And Pete, really good to see Jeff Blauser continue his surge. He has taken a lot of flack in the last couple of years, most of it undue. To his credit, he hasn't moaned or complained. He just keeps going to the post, and so it's a continuing of what has happened for the Braves, a hero a day.
And his teammates getting on him a little bit before the game today. After driving in 7 runs, hitting 2 home runs yesterday, he's dropped from 6th to 8th in the batting order. Marquise Grissom takes the first pitch of the day. Outside the low, ball 1. Marquise with an 11-game hitting streak now, up to 274 for the year. He's 5 out of 10 in this series. 2-0, the count now on Grissom. That's what he's done during that 11-game streak, a 367 average, raising his overall season average 43 points. In the air, right center field, Dykstra on the run. Gets there, makes the catch, 1 down. It is a cool day here in Philadelphia. They're expecting frost tonight. A high of 60 degrees forecast for today. But we do have sunshine, no threat of rain. And the batter will be Mark Lemke. Mark 3 out of 11 in the series, up to 263 for the year now. Grace delivers, hit sharply towards second, knocked down by Morandini. Now he recovers, hurries the throw on to first in time. Good play on a hard hit ball by Mickey Morandini. 2 away.
Well, you'll see a lot of good plays behind Grace simply because he works quickly. He throws strikes. Morandini took that one for the team and stayed right with it. But that's his reputation. He doesn't mind taking one off the chest if it'll get him the out.
Now Chipper Jones, also 3 out of 11 in the series, hitting 271 now for the year. And a long home run here on Friday night. There's something else about the Braves' confidence, Don. You were commenting before the game that none of these hitters have ever seen Mike Grace before, and really not a lot of concern about that. They're just pretty optimistic that if they get a look at him once, they'll be all right.
And I think if you're a starting pitcher on this ball club, what you don't want to do is give up 3 or 4 and cause your ball club to have to score 3 or 4 to get even. Allow them to go one time through to take a look at the starting pitching, and this ball club will pretty much solve him for a couple anyway.
Now the 0-2 pitch on the way to Chipper Jones, foul right back at us. And it remains 0-2 on Chipper.
Talk to some of the Phillies. They compare Grace a little bit to Robin Roberts. His stature, the way he builds, the way he wears, the way he is built, the way he wears his uniform, the way he starts, and a few high fastballs you'll see too.
Ahead in the count, 0-2 on Chipper Jones. Now the 0-2 on the way. And that misses low. He wears his socks like Steve Bedrosian. And Chipper Jones. One ball, 2 strikes. The 1-2 on the way, high and outside, ball 2, 2-2. Grace, 25 years old, lives in Clearwater. Out of Joliet, Illinois, he went to Bradley University. Another bouncer out towards second. Morandini has this one, and a good start today for the Phillies as they get the Braves 1-2-3 in the top half of the first. We go to the bottom half with no score. (18-8) lifetime record against the Phillies. And Len Dykstra leads it off, 283 for the year with 3 homers. One ball, no strikes, and Dykstra. Dykstra, Morandini, and Eisenreich, 2 up here in the bottom half of the first inning. There are the numbers on Greg Maddux.
One that will not show up there is he has not allowed a first inning run this year.
That'll be out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. And continuing the amazing control the Braves starting pitchers have been showing, he's only had 1 walk in his last 37 1/3 innings, and that was intentional. The Braves pitching staff, 87 walks is all this year, 290 strikeouts. Into right field, that's going to fall in. Base hit for Dykstra. So the Phillies get their leadoff man on. That's Dykstra's 3rd hit of the series. And it'll bring up Mickey Morandini.
Maddux is 4-2, a 305 earned run average, but the league only hitting 234. And here are some of the other rankings for Greg in the National League. Number 1 in strikeouts to walk. Number 1. Look at that, less than a walk per 9 innings. He is definitely a ground ball pitcher. That's why you see your infielders on their toes when Maddux is on the mound.
Morandini hitting 231 with a homer. He is one of the many Phillies off to subpar starts offensively. Jim Fregosi just shaking his head about this team's offense. They're only hitting 227. That's dead last in the National League. And Fregosi saying doesn't matter what kind of a lineup he puts out there, he just can't seem to get any combination of hot hitters. Little bunt down the third base line. It'll be fielded by Maddux. Hurries the throw on to first. Doesn't get him. And the Phillies have runners at first and second. So the bunt single by Morandini, and the Phillies have a scoring threat here in the bottom half of the first inning as they try to become the first team to score a first inning run off Greg.
Not a sacrifice. He's going to lay down bunt for a base hit. That's as good as it gets. It's one of those where you want to let it roll, but you can see it's not going to kick to the foul side. Maddux barehanded it. The only choice he has was to barehand and make the throw. Freddie McGriff with a good play there, Pete, of conceding first base, just making sure the ball didn't go down the right field line.
First and second now, nobody out for Jim Eisenreich, hitting 292, no homers, 8 RBIs. Just outside, ball 1 to Eisenreich. Hitting .467 for the Phillies with runners in scoring position. He's one of the few that has delivered in situations like this for Philadelphia. That evens the count. 1 ball, 1 strike.
There's more of that defensive positioning we talk about. Klesko only about 6 or 8 steps off the line. Grissom shallow and in left center field. They are definitely not expecting Eisenreich to pull Greg Maddux, at least to pull him in the air.
Here's the 1-1 on the way, just off the inside corner. 2-1.
I personally can't see any difference in the way Greg Maddux is throwing. Last year he'd have a good ball game. He'd make 100 pitches, 95 would be great ones, 5 would be mistakes, and they wouldn't be hit. Now all of a sudden he's going through one of those stretches where, and every pitcher who walks out there makes mistakes. You do not go through 9 innings or 7 innings or most of the time even 4 innings without making a mistake. The difference in a good season and a great start and winning a lot of ball games is what happens with those mistakes.
And a couple of those have gotten nailed in the last 2 starts he's made.
Of course, the better a pitcher is, the fewer mistakes he's going to make. And Maddux, to his credit, makes very few.
3-1 the count now on Eisenreich with Morandini at first, Dykstra at second. High in the air to straightaway center field. Marquise Grissom is over. So is David Justice. It's going to be Justice and Grissom colliding, tagging at second, moving over to third, Lenny Dykstra. And a little miscommunication there in the outfield. Usually you see the center fielder make a play like that, but with a runner at second, I think David Justice felt he had a better chance of making a good strong throw to third.
And one thing that might have hurt right there too is, look, the ball is on his glove side and on David Justice's glove side. So both of them thought they had the best angle at it. Probably with the sun where it is, Marquise Grissom might have had a little bit better angle at the ball and Justice a little bit better angle to throw.
So they're at first and third with 1 out now for Todd Zeile. Zeile hitting .260, had his 5th homer of the season last night. He's driven in 20. That home run is only hit in 7 at-bats in this series. First and third, 1 out. 1 ball, no strikes on Zeile. Here's the 1-0 on the way, and it's fouled away. That evens the count on the Phillies' third baseman. 1 ball, 1 strike. In this lineup today, outside of Jim Eisenreich, Lenny Dykstra, and Todd Zeile, everybody else in the Phillies batting order hitting 35 points or more below their lifetime average. Gives you an idea of the struggles this offense has had. Line to left field. Klesko started in. Now the ball goes over his head off the wall. In to score is Dykstra. Morandini heads to third. Down to second goes Todd Zeile. 1-0 Phillies. First inning run scored against Greg Maddux this year. That'll go as a double and an RBI for Zeile, his 21st RBI.
And when you're going through a stretch where everything's not going the way it does, you get a ball hit right on the button that handcuffs an infielder or an outfielder. That one just over leaping Klesko. 9 times out of 10, that's an out, but this time it's a double. Keeps the inning alive and puts a run on the board.
And runners at second and third with only one out for Benito Santiago. Homered twice off Maddux when they last faced each other in Atlanta.
Remember, he's the kind of hitter that Greg Maddux has trouble with. Maddux uses the term hacker because it's hard to go out and pitch with a plan against a guy like Santiago. You can't say, if I come inside with a fastball, then he'll chase the curveball, or if I start him with a curve, he'll go up the ladder after a fastball. If you turn it loose, he'll swing at it.
He has 5 career homers and 52 at-bats against Maddux. And the count goes to 2-0 on Santiago. Only hitting .219 this year, but he has 9 homers and 27 RBIs. Foul that one straight back. 2-1. One run in. Morandini at third. Todd Zeile down at second. 1 man out. Just missing outside, and the count goes to 3-1.
They may put him on here and not take a chance with making a mistake. 3-1.
And that will be the case. So the intentional walk will load the bases for the rookie Glenn Murray. As we mentioned, that's only the second walk issued by Greg Maddux in the last 37 2/3 innings now, and they've both been intentional. Well, now Glenn Murray gets his first lifetime at bat against Greg Maddux. Hitting .250, 2 out of 8 since coming up from Scranton Wilkes-Barre, where he was hitting .356. Bases loaded, 1 down. Bouncing ball up the middle. Blauser has it, steps on second for 1, on to first. Low throw. McGriff couldn't handle it. 1 run is already scored. Here's the throw home, and he's safe. Morandini and Zeile both come home. Should have been a double play. And what you were talking about, Don, when things aren't going your way, even routine plays that are normally made behind you don't get made. 3 runs are in. It's 3-0 Phillies.
It seems like there's one spot in the starting rotation, regardless of how well you're playing, that is haunted. Nice 2-hopper right here. Blauser hits the bag. It looked like he got himself a little bit off stride. Throw in the dirt. McGriff couldn't handle it, so they get the force at second, but the Phillies benefit. That 3rd run will score on an error.
Murray gets 1 RBI. Ground ball hit by J.R. Phillips right to the second baseman Lemke, on to first for out number 3. But the Phillies are the ones getting the early jump in this one, as they scored 3 first-inning runs to take a 3-0 lead after 1. For the second inning, hitting .355 for the year, 8 home runs, 32 RBIs. Lines the first pitch into right field as he tries to get the Braves going here in the top of the second. First base runner for Atlanta. 8-game hitting streak now for Fred McGriff. 22 hits in his last 44 at bats. I'd say he's hot.
And doing what he does when he is in a streak like this, using every part of the ballpark. We've seen him hit it down the left field line, a lot of power to left and right center, pulls this one for a base hit.
David Justice 4 out of 6 in the series, up to 318 for the year now. 5 home runs, 21 runs driven in. Takes a strike, 0-1. McGriff chased back. He's not getting a very big lead over there, but he's a crafty base runner. He'll take a shot at a stolen base if the pitcher gets careless and doesn't pay too much attention to him. He has stolen 2 this year. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Remember last night there was a little bit of a disagreement between Larry Boa and David Justice. Well, it had to do with David swinging at a 3-0 pitch up 9-3. And I think the flip side of that coin was that some people on the Braves thought that he had been buzzed under the chin. And so had Ryan Klesko, a little unnecessarily. So probably a couple of mistaken impressions by both sides.
2-1, the count on Justice. Nobody out. 3-0 Phillies. We're in the top half of the second. Yeah, Larry Boa and David got into a little to-do as the teams were changing sides. Double play ball. Morandini, Stocker, Phillips. 4-6-3 goes the twin killing. That's the 5th double play grounded into by David Justice this year.
And this duo can turn it. Watch the pace at second with which Stocker turns this. If somebody is close to him, he could have unloaded it a lot quicker. But Morandini got it to him in a hurry so Stocker could make the choice of going back behind the bag, crossing the bag. And since McGriff was a long way away, he took his time, took an extra step, made a nice throw to first.
2 gone. Here's Ryan Klesko with the bases empty. And he takes a strike. Ryan at 307, 12 home runs, 24 RBIs, a couple of doubles in the game last night. One and 1, the count on Klesko. Two balls and a strike now on the Braves left fielder. That should drift out of play off to the left. It will up into the seats. The count even 2-2. Expos are at it again. They already lead Houston 3-0. They're still batting in the bottom half of the first inning. That game they won last night on extra innings. Montreal, in case you didn't hear, in the 13th inning beat Houston last night 10-9. They were trailing 8-2 after 6 innings. And remarkably, that was the 12th game that the Expos have won this year where they've been trailing going into the 7th inning. Their 13th come from behind victory overall. That's all for Klesko. That's all for Atlanta. First strikeout for Grace. Bottom half of the second coming up. Still 3-0 Phillies.
This telecast is authorized under broadcasting rights granted by the Atlanta National League Baseball Club. It is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, retransmission of the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Atlanta National League Baseball Club is prohibited.
3-0 Phillies as we go to the bottom half of inning 2, and Kevin Stocker leads off, hitting just .216, 3 home runs though, and 13 runs driven in. Takes ball 1 just a little off the outside corner. He'll be followed by the pitcher Mike Grace and the top of the order Len Dykstra. That misses low. 2-0. Unusual in this game so far is the number of hitters that Maddux has been behind in the count. He was behind 3-1 on Eisenreich, 3-1 on Santiago, now 2-0 on Stocker. Sometimes that's an entire game when Maddux falls behind 3 hitters. Count goes to 2-1.
And still, he's not missing by very much. It's not like he's throwing the ball all over the ballpark. It's not up under people's chin. It's not out in the left-handed batter's box, but it's not on the corner.
Ready now for his 2-1 pitch to Stocker. That evens it 2-2. Got the strikeout with a fastball. Maddux records his first strikeout, 1 gone. That'll bring up the pitcher, Mike Grace. He has gone 2 for 18 as a hitter. 6 strikeouts.
Pitcher Mike Grace.
Grounds 1 to first baseman Fred McGriff. Maddux over to cover. And quickly 2 are gone here in the bottom of the second. And now back to the top of the order in Len Dykstra. When you look at that 3-run rally that the Phillies staged in the bottom half of the first inning, how many 3-run rallies has Lenny Dykstra begun with a leadoff single? He is an outstanding table setter at the top of that order. .312 lifetime batting average against Atlanta.
Draws a lot of walks, small strike zone, isn't afraid to take a strike or two to figure out what you got going for you that day.
Batting here with 2 outs and the base is empty. That's a little surprising.
That's backwards, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look how close he stands to the plate, though. He's moved up a little bit toward the front of the batter's box on Maddux, trying to take some of the changeup away from him. But that left foot is almost behind the plate.
Thus, the reason for that pitch. Moving him back off the plate a little bit. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Watch this shot. Watch where the left foot goes. The right foot is open. But I guarantee if you draw a line down the inside edge of that plate, it's going to be awfully close to his left toes.
Here's the 1-1. Fouled away, and the count goes to a ball and 2 strikes. Here's the 1-2 on the way, and it just missed in there. 2-2.
Maddux works better when he can immediately go to the next pitch that he wants. He's having a little trouble right now getting on the same page with Javi Lopez.
Stays inside, misses again. 3-2, the count in Dykstra. Remember when Len Dykstra was a member of the New York Mets, he and Wally Backman, the top 2 hitters in that batting order, and they might as well have started every game with Atlanta with runners at first and second, because those 2 were always on base. Got him. Pulled the string, picks up his second strikeout in the 1-2-3 bottom half of the second inning for Greg Maddux. We go to the third, still 3-0 Phillies.
Mile-an-hour pitcher. He throws right around 90, but he is not afraid to throw strikes. He tries to make good pitches, and then if he gets behind in the count, here it comes. Do something with it. And that time Javi Lopez wasn't able to. Before the year's over, I think he's going to have a good year, and he's probably going to give up a few solo homers, but it doesn't look like he's a pitcher who's going to beat himself.
Now the red-hot Jeff Blauser. Career RBI night last night with 7. He now has 13 RBIs in the year. 12 of them have come in the last 3 games he's played. One ball, 1 strike on Jeff.
Yeah, he's enjoyed himself the last 3 games, and he's had it coming. It's been a frustrating, tough couple of years for him.
Now the 1-1 from Mike Grace. Outside corner, 1-2.
The one number I liked in that graphic, Pete, was 570 with runners in scoring position. And he's not hitting, and he hasn't been hitting in the easiest spot in the batting order to hit in either.
Inside corner, strike 3 called. Third strikeout for Grace. He went outside, outside, outside. Then when he got ahead 1-2, buzzed one over the inside corner.
This is the kind of pitching we're used to seeing from Grace's mound opponent, Greg Maddux. Right on the inside corner. Nice job of handling that there by Benito Santiago. A perfect pitch.
2 gone. Now the pitcher, Greg Maddux, 1 for 19 on the year. Up and away, ball 1. Two and nothing. The count now on Maddux. And first time he's been behind 3-0 all day.
And if you're a pitcher, that'll drive you nuts too. You make perfect pitches on 3 or 4 straight hitters and then fall behind 3-0 to the pitcher.
There's a strike 3-1.
The one guy in the lineup, you're pretty sure if you set it on a tee, he couldn't hit it out against you.
Right down the middle. Full count now. 3-2 on Greg. Boy, Grace doesn't waste any time, does he?
That's why this catcher, these infielders like him. Hard not to like a guy who gets the ball, knows what he wants to do, comes to the plate, throws strikes, gives you a chance to win.
Here's the 3-2 now to Maddux. Right in under his chin.
Did that hit him? If it didn't and it went into the dugout, does he get to go to second? Did it hit him? If it didn't hit him, then that's ball 4 and it bounced into the dugout.
Well, it didn't hit him because plate umpire Billy Hahn is indicating that it was ball 4. But Maddux was indicating to the umpire when he saw that ball go into the dugout.
Shouldn't I get second?
Mm-hmm. First walk issued by Grace. And now Marquise Grissom will step in with 2 outs, a runner at first. Grissom fly to center in the first inning. Nothing in 1 to count. Well, we had this problem last night where
the wind swirls in here and it's flopped it out over the fence. We just found out why he was not allowed to go to second. According to our official scorer here, he was hit. Oh, he was hit by a pitch. Now they're saying it's a base on ball.
It was a walk. Bill Hahn very clearly went and indicated that, holding up 4 fingers. Here's the 1-1. Bouncing ball. Look what I found. It found the glove of Mike Grace. He throws out Marquise Grissom, and he's out of the inning, stranding a runner at first. We go to the bottom of the 3rd, still 3-0.
On the next National Geographic Explorer. Hello, I'm
off here in the 3rd. He had a bunt single back in that 3-run first inning. Grounds this one. Oh, Fred McGriff misplayed that ball. He was backing up all the way, and Morandini's going to wind up with at least 2. Now he's going to try for 3. Nope, now they're saying a fan interfered with the ball, so they're going to send him back to second. Well, I don't know what happened to Fred McGriff on that ball. I thought he would charge that ball, Don.
I did too, but he was playing in for the bunt, Pete. And when he saw it wasn't a bunt, he was swinging away. He started backpedaling, and usually when you start backpedaling, you're a dead duck. Everybody in on the infield. Here's the swing, the high chop, and when he started backing up, he had no chance. This fan right here makes absolutely no friends with the Phillies because he cost the Phillies a base. David says thank you very much. Are they going to say he could have made it to 3rd? Because if he held it, if he picked it up, That's usually a ground rule double. He may be asked to. Yes, he is. Have a nice day.
Now they're going to ask him to leave it. They have awarded third base to Mickey Morandini.
So they're going to say that
They're going to say he would have made it without the interference. So give him a triple after all. They sent him back to second initially and then gave him third. There's a swing and a miss by Eisenreich and the count 0-1.
I bet you Ed Rapawano was in on that decision because he was behind the bag at third and knew exactly where Morandini was when the ball was held. And from our angle, Morandini had already rounded second. He would have made third easily. So it was the right call.
It's the third triple of the year for Morandini, and Maddux in hot water again. Runner at third, nobody out. 1 ball, 1 strike on Eisenreich.
And he's facing a guy here who likes to hit in Philadelphia.
Eisenreich flied to right his first time. Little bouncing ball to McGriff. This time he's up with it. Holds the runner at third. Takes it himself. 1 down. And that'll bring up Todd Zeile, who's double over Klesko's head in the first inning. Drove in the first Philadelphia run.
You don't like to make it easier for our team to get hits. When you bring the infield in, the opponent's batting averages increases, but you know you're going against Mike Grace, and there's a pretty good chance you have to treat him with the same respect you would Maddux or Glavine or Smoltz. There's a pretty good chance you're not going to get a lot of runs, so you have to try to save this one right here.
Half an ease for a called strike on Zeile. 3 runs, 4 hits for the Phillies. No runs, 1 hit for the Braves. Bottom of the third. Runner at third. And 1 man out. One ball, 1 strike on Todd Zeile. That'll be out of play, and the count goes to 1-2. Maddux would like the strikeout here. Just missed inside. 2-2.
Because he wants to strike out, he may use this as a setup pitch, Pete. Try to set up the pitch he wants to strike him out on.
Down the left field line. Zeile hit that ball hard, but it's foul up into the seats.
Well, we've seen him strike out a number of right-handers by coming down and in. If you get it where you want it, usually they'll swing over it, but if you don't, it's a good pitch to see right-handers will lift and pull.
Well, we have a first up at Montreal. Tell you about it after this 2-2 pitch. Missing low and outside, 3-2. Henry Rodriguez is having a career year for the Expos. Going into today's game, he was hitting .352 with 44 RBIs, 15 home runs, and a certain candy bar that has the name Henry in it has become something that the Expo fans are now bringing to the games. We have a candy bar delay at Olympic Stadium. Ball 4 to Todd Zeile. A double by Henry Rodriguez in the bottom half of the second inning. The fans showered the field with candy bars. The Astros have left the field while the ground crew cleans up Olympic Stadium.
Oh.
2 walks issued now by Maddux. The first unintentional walk he has issued in close to 40 innings. First and third, 1 out for Santiago, who was walked intentionally in the first inning. Upstairs, 1 ball, no strikes. This is the exact opposite of the way Maddux pitched his last game when he was throwing first pitch strikes to almost every hitter. He's been throwing first pitch balls to almost every hitter in this one. Count Count goes to 2-0.
Another good example right there. The first one missed mere inches upstairs and then tries to come back with a changeup, and he's just missing with it. But I don't care what their team batting average is. When you're facing major league hitters, if you make mistakes and if you don't pitch ahead in the count, even a ball club hitting 225 will give you problems.
Infield double play depth with runners at the corners. Santiago drills one foul. And the count goes to 2-1. Santiago will need some new lumber.
See what I mean about it? Santiago being a hacker, he makes up his mind to swing. That pitch there was probably as far inside as the pitch he took for ball 2. But he was ready to swing. He could reach it. He could hit it. So therefore, he took a shot at it.
Once asked Greg Maddux of all the players that have been with the Braves the last 4 or 5 years, was there anyone that he's glad he didn't have to face? And he said, I'll tell you one that I did face before that I hated to face was Lonnie Smith. Same type of hitter. Very unpredictable as to what pitches he would chase and where he'll hit him when he does chase him.
Well, you can't set him up.
McGriff giving chase to this one in foul territory, but it's about 4 rows deep.
Nice catch.
2-2. Phillies leading at 3-0 and threatening for more here in the third. First and third, one out.
It can be a little to your advantage if you're a pitcher when you're ahead in the count with a hacker, because you don't have to throw strikes. But behind in the count, you've got to come somewhere near the strike zone. Right now, there's no telling what he'll chase and where.
Trying to get him to chase a high fastball. Couldn't. The count goes to 3-2. See if the runner at first, Todd Zeile, is going on this 3-2 pitch. He is, and the pitch is cut on miss. Throw down to second base. They've got the runner hung up. Coming home with it, Lemke. The run is scored. And down to second goes Zeile. Good timing by Mickey Morandini on that play. Even though the Braves did the right thing with Lemke cutting in front of the bag, cutting off the throw and firing home, Morandini still beat the relay.
You work on both sides of this in spring training. The strikeout, here's the throw. Here comes Lemke in front of the bag. Unloads in a hurry. But, Pete, you hit it right on the head. Credit Morandini with that one. Watch Zeile now throw on the brakes. Boom. He was going to get in a rundown anyway, but there was no hesitation on anybody's part. It was perfectly executed both ways.
And that makes it 4-0 Phillies. Zeile winds up down at second, and here's Glenn Murray. He hit that double play ball that Jeff Blauser got the out at second on, but then threw it away over to first. A run scoring on the play. Actually, 2 runs scoring on the play. Morandini gets credit for a stolen base there. He is now 10 for 10 in that category this year. Missing outside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
You have days like this if you're a catcher or you're a pitcher, and I really believe Javi Lopez and Greg Maddux are having one today where they are just a little out of sync, where they're both thinking about a pitch to get the hitter out, but sometimes it's not the same pitch.
And again, Maddux falling behind, 2-1 on Murray. This has not been vintage Greg Maddux, but he hasn't gotten the best defensive support either.
Play in left field that could have been made, a double play that could have been executed.
The leadoff triple by Mickey Morandini, play that might have been made. Again, just missing, and the count goes to 3-1.
So much of his pitching strategy is built on pitching ahead of the count and making the hitter chase bad pitches, and that all changes when you're falling behind in the count.
Fouled away. Full count now, 3-2 on Murray.
By the way, credit Morandini with a steal of home. First time the Phillies have done that in about almost a year to the date.
Kevin Stocker the last to do it. Still 3-2 on Murray. Two men out, Seal down at second. Got him. At the knees, strikeout number 4 for Maddux, and he's out of the inning with no further damage. But another run is in as Mickey Morandini swipes one. 4-0 Phillies after 3.
And it all started over there. When I was growing up, my dad used to barbecue steak every weekend. My dad has a grill. I wanted...
A little bit low over the plate. 1-0. Lemke in the 2 spot, hitting just a hair under 290, 261 as you can see for the year. There's a strike. 1-1. Well, you have two guys out there who, when they are pitching their normal ball games, you love them on getaway day. Both of them get the ball, no fooling around, no trips around the mound. Just give me a sign, let me come back to the plate. This one get on the outer edge, and Lemke finds himself in a hole. 1-2. It was a very frustrated Greg Maddux who took himself into the dugout after the 3rd inning. That's got to be foul. Santiago will give it a look, but it's back into the crowd. Still a ball and 2 strikes. Gray, 6'4", about 220. Got a birthday coming up next month. He'll be 26 years old. Out of Joliet Catholic High School and Bradley University.
And really making the most of an opportunity given him this year. He only pitched a couple of games in AAA and a couple in the majors last year. Spent most of the season at AA, and was probably, with everybody healthy, ticketed for AAA again this year.
That misses inside, and it's 2-2. Boy, how many
But with
times...
all the injuries, they gave him a shot at being in the starting rotation, and now he's their ace.
Where would they be had he not blossomed into a good starting pitcher? I know he is one of the kids in the organization at Johnny Padres, pitching coach who in upstate New York, recuperating a little bit right now. Up the middle, knocked down. Morandini can't make the play. Good play by the Phillies second baseman, but it's going to go as an infield single for Mark Lemke. He covered some real estate.
Yes, he does. He covers a lot of ground over there. And made this play a little bit closer than it should have been, even though Lemke beat it easily. But you didn't even expect to see a throw to first base when that ball left his bat.
Second hit of the day for the Braves. Lemke will stand at first for Chipper Jones. Jones grounded to second his first time up. Phillies infield up a step. Michael James Grace out of Bradley University. This is downstairs. It's 1-0. Now, you mentioned his pitching most of the year AA last year, but he seemed to get better as they promoted him to each level. He was 2-0 at Scranton, 1-1 when he was called up to the big leagues, but the earned run average right at 3. with the short time he was up with the Phillies. He falls behind Chipper Jones 2-1. That's going to bring Benito Santiago out. Already the Braves have grounded into one double play. He's gotten strikeouts or ground outs for all of the outs except one. Marquise Grissom, a fly ball to center field to lead off the ball game. So when you do hit him, you got a pretty good chance you're going to hit it on the ground. Phillies got him in the 10th round back in 1991. A little bit tardy by Chipper Jones, and it's 2-2. Petey's one of those guys, too, very unusual in his career. I could not find a single instance. First the pitch. It's a little bit low. That'll make it 3-1. I could not find a single instance in his whole career where he had ever pitched an inning in relief.
No, he's been a starting pitcher throughout his career.
Usually there's one, you know, especially in the minor leagues, you're going to make a couple of relief appearances. On the ground, and it hits Lemke. That's the way
it's that kind of day.
Yes. That'll go as a base hit for Chipper Jones. Mark Lemke is out. Let's see if I remember my rules. The putout goes to the nearest fielder.
It goes to the nearest fielder. Probably the first baseman will get the putout here. He will. He was the closest fielder to it. But it's been that kind of day. Solidly hit ball by Chipper Jones and setting the table perhaps for a big Braves inning. And Mark Lemke gets hit by the ball. Now Jimmy Williams has come in to complain to plate umpire Bill Hahn about something. Bobby Cox coming out as well. I wonder what this is about, Don.
I don't know. Let's see if we can in the truck. Let's see if we can back it up and take a look at it and see if we can see if he was screened by the first baseman, if that's what they're going to argue. Let's take a look.
See, that's what Jimmy's arguing. He's arguing that Phillips came out and right in front of Mark Lemke.
Deflected it.
Yeah.
They're either going to say he screened it or deflected it.
And now they're going to ask Terry Taylor, the crew chief, who was the umpire at first base, to rule on this.
I think it's an argument they're not going to win. You can see from that angle right there. Well, here's a better one. Take a look.
Now, he never got a glove on the ball.
No, he never got a glove on it. He never deflected it, and Mark Lemke wasn't screened out. But it doesn't cost you anything to go out and argue it, if indeed this is what the argument is. That's about the only thing I can think of, because it wasn't defensive holding. There wasn't an illegal defense, and there was no defensive holding, so that could be the only thing that it could be. That must be the only thing it could be. But Jimmy Williams must have thought he spotted something, because you don't hear cheap out of Jimmy Williams unless
No, and he sprinted home. He sprinted toward home plate umpire Bill Hahn just as soon as the play was over.
But he did the right thing. He let Bobby Cox take up the argument, and there is an explanation that he may not like, but at least he can live with it. Gave it a try. So we'll get going again. Chipper Jones replaces Lemke at first. There is one out. McGriff the hitter. McGriff extended his hitting streak. He now has an 8-game hitting streak with the leadoff single that he got in the second inning. He was erased on a double play. No runs, 3 hits for the Braves, 4 runs on 4 hits for the Phillies. We're in the top of the 4th inning. Down low, 1-0. You just don't see arguments pop up on something that routine. I mean, it's an unusual play to see a guy get hit with a batted ball, but there didn't seem that had any subtleties to it. It's 2-0 to McGriff. McGriff chases one downstairs, make it 3-1. Well, apparently they have resume play up in Montreal. The Expos lead Houston 5-1 in the bottom of the third inning. The Expos, a top hitting club in the National League. Strike 2. That's going to be a looping base hit for Fred McGriff. So the Braves have three consecutive singles in the inning, but only have runners at first and second with one gone. And David Justice is the hitter. Justice grounded into a 4-6-3 double play his first time up. One of the few times anybody's gotten Justice out lately. His batting average now up in the 315 neighborhood.
I think I found what Jimmy Williams is arguing about, Don.
Okay. By the way, Justice has an 8-game hitting streak, too. He's hitting 400 in that stretch. We'll check into that after we see what the pitch. This is inside 1-0.
According to the rule book, and we're reading from Rule 7.08F, it says a runner is out if he is touched by a fair ball in fair territory before the ball has touched or passed an infielder. Now, in that case, the ball did definitely pass J.R. Phillips, the first baseman.
Deep to right center field. Dykstra at the warning track makes the catch. So Justice just caught it on the end of the bat. And Chipper Jones goes around to third. 2 outs in the inning. Ryan Klesko is going to stand in, but run that past us again now.
This is Rule 708F. And it says a runner is out if he is touched by a fair ball in fair territory before the ball has touched or passed an infielder.
That's the argument, because it definitely had
it
passed.
definitely had
Yes,
passed
sir.
Phillips. So that's what the argument was.
That's the argument. Here's a look.
See, the ball is past his glove when it hits Lemke on the foot. That's what the argument was about from Jimmy Williams.
Nice job, Mr. Van Weert, and nice job in the truck of saving that and having it right there. Runners at the corners. Klesko fouls it in and out of the mitt of Benito Santiago. Nice job, ladies and gentlemen. Just kind of dial it up and you get it, don't you? I like this. No balls, 1 strike. Just missed inside, 1-1. That's back our way. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Odd inning, in case you just joined us. Lemke led it off with a single. Chipper Jones hit him with a batted ball. McGriff followed with a single, and Justice just missed hitting one out of here. The Braves have 3 singles in the inning, yet to score. Jones at third, McGriff at first. Klesko 304 for the year, but 4 points better with runners in scoring position. On the ground towards second, that man Morandini covers some territory and makes the play. So the Braves get 3 singles in the inning, but come away empty. No runs, 3 hits, no errors, 2 left. We move to the bottom of the 4th. Phil's leading it, 4-0 the score.
Game 12 by Jim Bottomley and Mark Whitten. When Mark Whitten was a member of the St. Louis Cardinals, he had a 4-home-run game, 12 RBIs.
J.R. Phillips will lead it off in the Phillies half of the 4th inning. Phillies lead at 4-0. Phillips first time up, grounded to second. Phillips, Stocker, and Grace due up for the Phillies. Did he go? Nope, 1-1. I don't care who you talk to about J.R. Phillips. There is absolutely no question about his fielding abilities. Some say he is about the best they have seen at first in many, many years, but he has had some serious trouble making contact. Finds himself in a hole now, 1-2. Phillips, 22 strikeouts in 41 at bats.
And as you can see, this position has not been a good one, with the exception of the games that Kevin Jordan has played. He's having a good year. Everybody else under 200.
That's in the dirt, and it's a full count. One of the reasons so many are being paraded by there was the injury to Greg Jeffries, and I was talking to him down in the Phillies locker room. He is a very small cast on there. Let's look at Kevin Jordan. And Jeffries has started doing some exercises earlier than the timetable. J.R. Phillips bites the dust again. That's 5 strikeouts for Greg Maddux, 3 of them consecutively. 1 gone for Kevin Stocker.
Shortstop Kevin Stocker.
Stocker, first time up, struck out swinging. Phillies excited about getting Kurt Schilling back.
He'll pitch on Tuesday
Tuesday
against San Francisco.
On the ground, McGriff's got it. He'll take it himself.
I like the way Kurt, who has been pitching rehab down in AAA, has made a couple of very successful starts down there. But they asked him if he felt that his stuff was back to where it was before the original injury. And he said, "I think Barry Bonds will let me know that."
There has definitely been a medical center over there in that Phillies dugout. Nice round of applause for Mike Grace. He's pitching another good one for the Phillies. Leads it 4-0. First time up, he grounded off the end of the bat to McGriff. Maddux covering. Finds himself on a hole, 0-2. Stays alive. 2 out of 19. As you might imagine, he is a top winning percentage in the major leagues, 5-0. It'll be his turn to pitch now. Maddux has a good inning, sets him down 1-2-3. He's set down 5 in a row. We have completed 4. It's the Phil's 4. The Phillies getting shut out.
To the top half of the 5th inning. The NBA playoffs continue tonight on TNT as the San Antonio Spurs take on the Utah Jazz. Pre-game show begins out.
Grace has 3 strikeouts. Lopez's strikeout coming leading off the 3rd inning. Doesn't get the fastball. It's 0-1. Looks like he can do a couple of things with his fastball, doesn't it? A good velocity. But we see him with one that goes away 90 miles an hour. You can see there he's got one he turns over and sinks away from left-handers too. That's back into the press box, and it's 0-2. That fastball registering a little bit over 90 on the Phillies radar gun. Do you like that feature, Pete, where they show you what?
Yes, I do.
You had a shot of it we showed you a minute ago that they put up here on the scoreboard. That's outside.
See, I think the more information that fans at the ballpark can get that they couldn't get if they weren't listening to radio or watching on television is good for the game. In fact, I wish that last play where they had the argument with Jimmy Williams and Bobby Cox would have been explained to the fans here. I'm sure a lot of them are still scratching their heads about it.
That's line, but right at Kevin Stocker. So he didn't fool Javi Lopez, but Lopez with nothing to show for it.
And it's just the kind of day the Braves are having right now. 3 singles in the last inning, but a runner gets hit by one of them. Now a line drive, but snared by Stocker.
Here's Jeff Blauser. Struck out looking his last time. A career night for Jeff Blauser last night. 7 RBIs and a couple of homers. May have another one. Nope, it's going to hook foul. He had home run distance and then some, but just a few feet foul. So Blauser's got his long ball stroke.
This ball hit a long ways. Close to the club level here in Philadelphia, but foul.
By about 8 or 10 feet. A long strike. It's 0-1. On the ground, Zeal plays the two-hopper. Across the diamond to Phillips. 2 gone here in the 5th inning. Pete Van Wieren, Don Sutton with you. 1 more out. Skip Carey, Joe Simpson will take you the rest of the way. Here's some of the other activity around the major leagues. These amazing expos. Looks like some pretty good pitching taking place today, too. Maddux is the hitter, swings on the first one, fouls it back into the crowd. 0-1. Maddux 1 out of 19 to start the year. He did walk his last time up. Boy, did it look cold in Chicago. I was watching some of the replays last night. Players bundled up at Comiskey Park. On the ground, chance for Stocker. Long throw. Good throw. Maddux is gone. A 1-2-3 inning for Mike Grace. He's 2 set down 5 in a row. We're halfway through this one. It's the Phillies leading at 4-0.
I can't believe I'm losing my...
From the vet in Philadelphia, the news is not good. The Phillies lead Atlanta 4-0. Joe Simpson and Skip Carey with you, and happy Mother's Day to my mom and grandmother out in Blanchard, Oklahoma, tuned in this afternoon.
And my mom, too, and all the rest of you who qualify.
Greg Maddux has not been his usual self today. In fact, he's walked a couple of guys, 1 intentional. Gave up 3 runs in the first, 1 in the third. Lenny Dykstra in the top of the order for the Phillies here in the 5th inning. Dykstra's 1 out of 2. He has singled and struck out. Check swinging out of play. 1-1 the count. Dykstra, a .234 career hitter against Maddux, but does have 3 home runs against him.
This is about, to be blunt about it, as bad a game as we've played all year, isn't it?
From a fundamental standpoint,
Yeah.
probably so. He should have been out of the first inning with only 1 run. Good changeup. 1-2. Dykstra, when he struck out to end the 2nd inning, struck out on a changeup on a 3-2 count. Fired his bat down, bounced his helmet off the ground.
Hawks lose 103-96 to Orlando. They scored only 14 points in the 4th quarter.
As you can see, Dykstra right on top of the plate. That back foot. 2-2. Braves are trying to complete a 3-game sweep here for the first time since '79. Full count.
He's probably had more full counts today than he's had all year, or close to it.
And again, to be honest, he's not just missing. He's missing by a pretty good margin today. They threw him a full count changeup to strike him out last time around. Fastball this time, and a check swing. Sounded like the ball foul tipped off his glove. The pitch was a strike anyway, and he's down on strikes again.
And
7.
Dykstra talking to himself. Last time it was a change of pace that got him. He expected another one. This time he gets the express.
No, maybe not a changeup. I mean, not a foul tip. It looked like it missed the bat altogether, but was a strike anyway. Here's a guy that's been a pain in the neck for Maddux, not only today, but in his career. Getting close to 300 off of him. And a guy who's made himself into a pretty good hitter.
Yeah, you have to admire him, because he, especially against left-handers, he couldn't do anything when he first came up.
There's a Greg Maddux type pitch on the corner. 1-2. Morandini, 8 for 23 against the Braves this year. And he's 3 for 3 today. And Grissom's not going to be able to flag that one down. He might have another triple. He'll have it easily. Two triples in the game for Mickey Morandini. And he was right on that pitch, and with Grissom playing him over in left center, it made it to the wall.
Yeah, they beat the defense this time. He pulled the ball a little bit, and Marquise had no chance to get to it. Morandini never hesitated, made it easily.
I remember Morandini hitting an inside the park home run against the Braves here to right center about 3 years ago. Jim Eisenreich 0 for 2 with a fly out and a ground ball and Griff. The infield plays in. Similar situation for Eisenreich back in the 3rd inning, and he couldn't get the run in. Eisenreich 5 for 21 against Maddux in his career. Out of play. It's the 3rd time in his career that Morandini has hit 2 triples in a game. Off of Lopez, that'll get the run home. And will probably be the first wild pitch of the year against Greg Maddux. And is.
Another look. Javi did everything he could do. He got in front of it. He tried to block it, but it ricocheted away.
Missed his glove and looked like it got the forearm.
What a nightmare this game is.
5-0. 2-2 to Eisenreich.
Braves starting lineup in this game, hitting .461 in the series, but Mike Grace has had their number to this point.
And he's been given a 5-run lead here. Phillies still batting in the 5th. Came in on his hands again, and Eisenreich just barely got a piece of it to stay alive. Brad Klontz loosening up in the Braves bullpen. Tried to run one away from him, and he got a piece of that one too. Coming into this start, Greg had allowed 10 runs in 16 innings in his last 2 starts, but 9 of those runs had been in 2 innings. Everything else had been good. Full count now to Eisenreich. Should be an easy play for McGriff. He'll take it to the bag himself and wins the race. 2 down. And Todd Zeile up there. He hit a ball in the 1st inning that may have turned the whole inning around. A hard line drive to left, and the wind swirling around in this ballpark. Klesko misjudged it a little bit. He's able to glove that. It's going to score a run, but it sure short circuits the inning a little bit. He has doubled and walked and stolen a base as the Phillies pulled off a double steal in the 3rd inning. Lemke to one knee, has it. Inning over, but the Phillies add to their lead. They get a run on 1 hit. No errors, nobody left, but a wild pitch got the run home. We've played 5 innings. Phillies on top, 5-zip. Phillies pitching staff this year. First time they've faced Mike Grace, however. Two and one. Our scouting report on Grace was that he had an okay fastball, but a good breaking ball. But his fastball's been better than advertised today. Good swing by Marquise, but he fouled it back. 2-2. Brad Klontz still throwing in the Braves bullpen. Two pitch. Bouncer over the mound this time, but Morandini there. Can he get him? They did. Mickey Morandini's day, I guess. Outstanding play for the All-Star.
Here's another look. I think Phillips makes a pretty good play, too. Morandini throwing off balance. Yeah, short hopped it over there and just did get him. Nice stretch as well. We sometimes lose track of that.
Phillips, a good fielding first baseman. Mark Lemke has singled in 2 trips. In fact, he got things started in the 4th inning. The Braves had 3 straight hits but didn't score. That's out of play.
Phillies and their broadcasters want us to wish Ruth Halliday down in the Clearwater Rehabilitation Center a speedy recovery. She's been under the weather. Big Phillies fan down in Clearwater, Florida.
Check swing by Mark. Let's see, must have been a foul ball. It's 0-2. You got to admire Mike Grace. 4 different elbow operations in his career before arriving in the big leagues. Lemke sends one into center field, but Dykstra had him played perfectly. 2 down. And not only did he have elbow trouble, but last year they shut him down early because they said his shoulder was bothering him. They sent him to Clearwater, Florida, where the Phillies have their own rehab center and conditioning center, and he moved down there. Rather than surgery, he worked real hard in the off season and came back to spring training healthy, and you see the results.
He hasn't missed a beat since day 1 of spring training.
Chipper Jones 1 out of 2. One of the big plays for the Braves today was not a good one offensively. Lemke led off the 4th inning with a hit. Chipper hit a ground ball that was headed for right field, but it struck Lemke. And of course, Lemke was out, and Braves got another hit from McGriff, but still didn't score. 1-1 to Chipper. He's now hit in 8 out of 9 games. They've been swinging a hot bat, but they're running into a hot pitcher today. So far, out of play. Braves will be home tomorrow night with the Pirates. Tom Glavine against veteran Danny Darwin. Ticket information 404-249-6400 or 1-800-326-4000.
That's commemorative calendar night, too, presented by Lanks Hot Dogs.
The 1-2 pitch. Got him. Good off-speed pitch. That's the best changeup he has thrown today. And he has 4 strikeouts. We played 5.5. 5-0 Philadelphia.
Against Wagner, then Avery against Denny Nagel. Then the Reds come to call, and then the Cubs before the Braves hit the road again.
New pitcher for Atlanta. Greg Maddux's day is over, and Brad Klontz takes over. He works his 18th appearance of the year, a 1-2 record, 3.24 ERA, and a save to his credit. League only hitting 183 against him. Maddux's 5 innings, 5 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned, 2 walks, 1 was intentional. He struck out 7. Also had a wild pitch that cost him a run. And the 5 innings of work matches his shortest outing of last season. And one of those was against the Phillies on May 7th of last year.
Hopefully somebody will pay for all this later as the year goes along.
I would bet they will. Benito Santiago steps in, swings and misses. He has walked and struck out.
Montreal is winning again, 7-2. Boy, they are. You got to tip your hat to those guys.
Big rally for them last night. Oh, and 2. That one's off of Santiago's foot.
I saw some highlights of that game. Houston failed to turn a double play that could have won him the game in the 9th. An error by Sean Berry, who used to play for Montreal and is now the Houston third baseman, and a good one. He made an error that kept the game alive in the 12th, and then Alou got a base hit to win it in the 13th. And a bang-bang play at the plate there.
Oh, and 2 to Santiago. Called strike 3 right on the corner. Good start for Brad Klontz. And that'll bring up rookie Glenn Murray. Murray 2 for 10 since he was called up. He hit a ground ball in the first inning. Looked like it was going to get Maddux out of the inning. Blauser gloved it near the bag, stepped on the bag, but then threw low to McGriff, and Fred couldn't dig it out. Phillies got 2 runs on the play. But right now, 1 run would be the difference because the Braves have been unable to break through against Mike Grace. Murray goes after a high breaking ball, and he's in the hole 0-2. Cross fired with the fastball, but missed 1-2 the count. It's a good story about Murray and John Smoltz, wasn't it? That was in the paper.
Yeah, funny story. Murray came to a game.
Down on strikes, 2 in a row for Klontz.
When he was still a youngster, he was trying to get autographs, and he got one Brave to sign his cap, and it turned out to be John Smoltz, who was the first pitcher he faced when he got to the major leagues.
Now batting for the Phillies, first baseman J.R. Phillips.
J.R. Phillips looking for his first hit as a Philly. Doing a good job around the bag at first, but he is 0 for 16 as a Philly, and he has struck out 10 times in a Phillies uni. That's foul. 0-2 the count. He's in the hole again. Greg Maddux, by the way, who started the day with an ERA of 3.05. It gets bumped today to 3.36.
For most people, that's outstanding. For him, that's a hot.
Phillips sends a drive to deep center. Grissom just watching this one, and that ball is out of here. His first hit in a Phillies uni, and he hit it about 420 feet. 6-0. The 3rd home run given up by Brad Klontz this year.
Well, that's his story. If he makes contact, he's going to be a fine major league player because he's got awesome power. He had a pretty good pitch here, a fastball down and away.
Well, he sure did. The wind did not slow that one down one bit. Kevin Stocker 0 for 2. For J.R. Phillips, his 3rd home run of the year. And Klontz falls behind Stocker 2-0. Mike Grace, the pitcher, waits on deck. 2-1. Stocker's been fighting it a little bit. His average down to 211. Bullpen's been getting a little bit of work the last 2 nights because the Braves have been cruising. Today's a different story. They're on the short end. That's Pedro Borbon loosening up. Out of play. 3-2 to Stocker. Brad Klontz among the league leaders in appearances, with his 18th today. That's out of play. The Braves playing Stocker well over toward left field. A lot of room in right center. A little bit like they played Morandini last inning when he tripled to straightaway center. That might stay in play for Chipper Jones. Down with the sunglasses. He's got it. And the inning comes to an end, but the Phillies get another run on the home run by J.R. Phillips. We've completed 6 innings. All Phillies today, 6-0.
Three at Montreal, bottom of the 5th. McGriff 2 out of 2, a couple of singles. He pops this one up. That'll be easy. Who wants it? Zeal is there, and he's got it. 1 away. 1 pitch, 1 out in the 7th. This guy's been tough. Braves have 4 hits against him, 3 in the 4th. The first 3 men hit, but no runs scored. Lemke singled. He was hit by a ground ball off the bat of Chipper Jones, was ruled a hit, though the Braves argued that the ball had been beyond the fielder. It's a vague rule, as I recall it. Grace into the line, and the pitch to Justice. A strike at the letters, inside corner, 0-1.
I think it almost makes it sound like it has to be a fielder who had an obvious opportunity to field the ball, and not like in that case where J.R. Phillips was holding on the runner.
Off-speed pitch down and away, a ball and a strike. David has wrapped into a double play and lined to deep center. The 1-1 pitch hit hard, but right at Morandini on a short hop. He gloves it. 2 out. Well, this is about typical for baseball. You get 37 hits and 22 runs in 2 games, and then you can't do anything against the same team the next day.
This guy's been a hot pitcher against everybody, though.
Oh, yeah, nothing against him.
Yeah.
We were talking on radio, I think it was. The All-Star game is here. The Phillies may not have many representatives, but this guy's certainly got a great chance. Klesko fouls it off, 0-1.
Tell you who he reminds me of. I said this over on radio, and not just because he shows a lot of sock, but even his windup reminds me of Steve Bedrosian a little bit.
Santiago looked like he was crossed up on that pitch. He took a little time before throwing it back, as if to say, what's going on? 1-1. Phillies have just 6 hits. Braves have 4. High pop foul coming back. That'll reach the seats. A ball and 2 strikes. Javi Lopez would be next. They're 2 out in the inning. Grace gets the sign, nods his head, and goes to work. Popped up again, out of play. A ball and 2 strikes. He has walked just 1. That was Greg Maddux with 2 out in the 3rd. I don't know.
And they don't even have a knuckleballer over there.
No, I was trying to think. What could be?
Mike Hampton is an outstanding curveball, but I think he's been knocked out.
So, tough night in the Parisian city of North America. The gay Paris of North America, Montreal. Grace leads it off. 0-1 the count. Clance, 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 run. It was earned, 2 strikeouts, 1 homer. Grace, a chopper to short. Funny hop for Blauser. Hop, skip, and throw. 1 down. So Grace is 0 for 3, but he could care less about that. Top of the order, and Len Dykstra, 1 for 3 in the game today. Dykstra doesn't ordinarily start day games after night games, but he did today. Lenny, a popular favorite here, started with the Mets. Bourbon kicks and fires. Breaking ball popped up short left field. Out goes Blauser. On comes Klesko. It's going to be Ryan Klesko who makes the catch. And once Jeff heard him, you could see him turn tail in a hurry. You don't want to run into that big guy. 2 down.
Looking for a place to hide. Very vulnerable right there in that position.
Okay.
And okay, you say you got it. It's all yours, buddy. Not only that, but for these swirling winds today, that's a tough play for everybody.
Mickey Morandini, the batter, 3 out of 3, a couple of triples included. He scored 3 runs. One of his triples was an error in real life. His single was a bunt, but they all count. Strike on the corner. 1-1. White Sox hammering the Yankees again, 8-0. They're in the 4th. Pirates in town tomorrow night. Danny Darwin and Tom Glavine, 7:35 airtime on TBS. Upstairs, 3-1. Glenn, where's the basketball game tonight? Is it on TBS or TNT? Ground ball to second. Lemke up. Throws to first, and the inning is easily over. And the 7, still 6-0.
Hobbering New York. Frank Thomas has hit his 10th home run. Hey, Detroit on top of Texas 3-0, but it's early.
Into right center field. Long run for Murray. He gets there. 1 down on the warning track. Javi hit it a long way, but out.
All the other American League action yet to get underway.
You're speaking about Baltimore. They called up Luis Polonia today and optioned another former Brave, Tony Tarasco, to the minor leagues. So Polonia, Devereaux, and Merker are back together again. They were a big part of the Braves World Series champion team a year ago. Jeff Blauser is the batter. Fly ball into left field. That'll be caught. Eisenreich is back. 2 out. Well, 13 of them in a row knocked over by Mike Grace. And Dwight Smith will come out to hit for Bourbon. So Bourbon worked an inning. All zeros if you're keeping score with us on this Mother's Day Sunday afternoon. Looks like Terrell Wade down in the bullpen. Can't be sure.
It is. One thing I've liked about Grace today, Skip, is he's just been aggressive. He's been going right after the Braves hitters all day, despite their runs and hits over the last 2 days.
A ball and a strike. He has pitched himself a terrific game. Down and in.
He has not pitched a complete game yet. but has combined with Ricky Bottalico in a couple of shutouts.
2 balls, 1 strike. He just missed outside. It's 3-1. He has walked just 1 in the game. Marquise Grissom on deck. High pop foul, full count. That reaches the seats. It's 3-2. Mets bat in the bottom of the 9th, trailing the Cubs 3-0. Who's pitching that game? For Chicago, do we know? Payoff pitch. Got him. Boy, he's tough. Yet another 1-2-3 inning. That's his 5th strikeout. We go to the bottom half of the 8th inning with your score. Phillies 6, Braves zilch. I tried to do that to my mom. She knocked me right on my Philly fanatic.
Batting for the Phillies, non-pitcher Jim Eisenreich.
Jim Eisenreich leads off the bottom of the 8th. My mom's a better dancer than that, too. And I'm in so much trouble. It's
You
not
really
even...
better stop.
Chipper across the diamond, 1 out. Eisenreich is retired. Terrell Wade on to pitch. Bourbon worked an inning, nothing but zeros. Looking ahead to the Atlanta half of the 9th, the top of the order, Grissom, Lemke, and Jones will come up.
Perhaps Marquise's last chance to extend his hitting streak.
You can see how well Terrell Wade has pitched this year. Todd Zeile, the batter, up and away, 1 ball, no strikes. Jim Bollinger has that 2-hitter going for the Cubs going into the 9th inning against the Mets today. And tonight's basketball game I asked about, San Antonio and Utah, is on TNT. As is the Hawks game tomorrow. On the corner. Wonder what time those games are. Well, there's the answer.
I'd say right around 8 o'clock for the pregame show, maybe 8:30 thereabouts for the tip-off.
Corked into center. Grissom on the move. He outruns it. 2 down. The ball was hit hard. Wonder what time the Hawks game starts. Well, we don't have a graphic on that, but I'm guessing 8 o'clock tomorrow night.
It's kind of rare for a back-to-back in the playoffs, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's all sort of television oriented. But if you don't have to travel, I don't think it's a big deal. Atlanta, of course, on Monday night fighting for their lives, down 3-0 to Orlando. Utah and San Antonio. Utah leads that series 2-1. One and 1 the count to Santiago. He has walked and struck out twice. He has not been a factor in this game, and that's unusual. Low and outside.
Talking to Steve Avery before the ball game about the control the whole staff has exercised recently. I asked him to what he could attribute that. He says, "Oh, I had a talk with everybody."
Foul to the screen. It's 2-2.
And he sent Mother's Day greetings to his mom and also to wife Heather.
The 2-2 pitch. Here we go. Runs it full, 3-2.
He's popping the leather pretty good.
Payoff pitch due the Philly catcher. Did he go? He did, and the inning is over. He chased a terrible pitch. Santiago wants him to ask for help, but Billy Hahn says, "I don't need any. You went around." 1, 2, 3, nothing doing. We go to the 9th. 6-0 Phillies. Who seeks his 6th victory of the year without a loss, and also goes for his first Major League complete game. Grissom leads it off. That's a final now. The Cubs beat the Mets 3-0 behind Jim Bollinger.
Braves were shut out 4 times all of last year. They're 3 outs away from their 4th shutout already.
And they're swinging the bats better this year. Strange. The 1-0 pitch to Grissom, trying to keep that hitting streak rolling. Hits it hard. Zeal boots it, recovers, throws, got it. Bang, bang, play at first. 1 down. No argument from Atlanta.
And some more help from J.R. Phillips. Handcuffed him off the heel of the glove. And were it not for the splits by J.R. Phillips, they wouldn't have had him. Looks like a good call by Terry Tata.
Here's Lemke. He's 1 for 3. Braves have put 4 hits and haven't had one since the 4th inning.
And once again, a young pitcher working for the first time against Atlanta, dealing.
This one not quite as surprising as some of the others, because he's been pitching pretty well against everybody. Off-speed breaking ball, little roller to short. 2 out.
And lest we forget and get into all kinds of trouble, I know Mother's Day greetings are in order for our wives as well. Kathy back in Marietta.
And what's her name in Atlanta? Good old Paula. Here's Chipper, the last hope for the Braves. Low and inside. 1 ball, no strikes. His first Major League shutout, his first Major League complete game. A right-hander in the bullpen for the Phillies just in case. High fly, twisting foul down the left side. Evens it up with a ball and a strike. Ricky Bottalico is up despite the fact they have a 6-run lead, but they haven't been able to use him much lately either. The wind, the delivery, let up, a beauty right in there. It's 1 and 2.
The thing that's most impressive about this performance by Grace today is that the Braves had 36 hits, 37 hits the last 2 days.
The 1-2 curved ball right out the end of the bat to stay alive. And I'll tell you what about Grace. He doesn't want to mess around. He is ready to get this over with. He is on a roll and he knows it. Foul back. If he gets Chipper, it'll be 17 men in a row to end the ball game.
Braves have not had a base runner since the 4th inning.
Curve, high chopper to first. He was late getting there. Throw to first. In time. Ball game over. 17 men in a row knocked off by Mike Grace. He salvages the final game of the series for the Phillies, and they beat the Braves by a score of 6-0.
And he is our AutoZone player of the game, as you might expect. 9 innings, his first complete game, his first shutout. It's a 4-hitter. He only walked 1 batter, struck out 5, and congratulations to Mike Grace, as he is now 6-0 on the year, and dating back to last year, he's on a 7-game winning streak like John Smoltz. Phillies salvage 1 of 3. Back to wrap things up at Veterans Stadium right after this.
Introducing the...
And they get the complete game shutout from Mike Grace, who's now 6-0. Greg Maddux gets roughed up again. He only allowed 5 hits on the day, but 5 runs and 4 earned charged to Greg Maddux as he takes the loss. The only home run of the ball game belonged to J.R. Phillips. 32,314 here at the ballpark this afternoon in a game that only took 2 hours and 11 minutes.
And our next telecast tomorrow night against the Pirates at 7:35. That's Tom Glavine against Danny Darwin working that one. We'll have it for you right here on TBS. This Week in Baseball is next. Coming up tonight at 7 o'clock is Neighbors, starring John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd. That's the story. Phillies win it 6-0 from Philadelphia. For Joe Simpson, Pete Van Wieren, Don Sutton, our entire TBS crew, Skip Carey, happy Mother's Day. So long, everybody.